Hi guys, welcome to the Photoshop tutorial. I'm Ivana and I'll be running the tutorial today. And this is
Isla. I'm helping if you need help.
yeah. I assume that you guys are all new to Photoshop, right? So if you need any help, or you're not following quite a bit, just put your hand up and Isla will come to you and help you out. And I've been in one of these tutorials before, and it can be kind of daunting when you're lost. So maybe just say hi to your neighbor, to your left and right. Like, what's your name? Like, what do you study?
Meet some people.
Yeah, so that's just just in case if I can't get to you straight away, like your neighbor can help you out as well. Okay, so you guys all have File Explorer open in Photoshop, right? Can I see a show of hands if you got those two ready? So you should have the screen in front of you and hope you can minimize File Explorer as well. We don't need it for the time being. So we're just gonna go through with the very, very basics today. So this tutorial is mostly for anyone who has not touched Photoshop at all. Like if you need to know how to navigate, how to open a file and all of that. So yeah, we'll get started. So first of all, I wanna say that Adobe has many, many products and Photoshop is just one of them. And Photoshop is really good at one thing, which is retouching images. Um, if you want to make architectural drawings or maps, Illustrator is better for that. But if you want to Photoshop something, as in make something that's fake and then make it look real and all that, then Photoshop will be good for that. So the main difference is that Photoshop focuses on pixels. So whenever you paint something or you edit something, the pixels will change. Whereas Illustrator, which is kind of like a twin of Photoshop, it uses math formulas instead. So this is quite important for you guys to know to choose the right Adobe product. So as you can see, raster in Photoshop is really good for photos, but if you zoom in too much, there is a limit. There will be pixels. But vector is all clean. You can zoom it infinitely. If you know Desmos from high school, the computer is basically doing that. If you don't know Desmos, then forget about it. It's all right. But yeah, we're going to be focusing on Photoshop today. And we'll get started with opening a new file. Just click on that, everyone. And you can always choose different canvas sizes. Most of the time, you'll probably print out your work and print it out to show your tutors and stuff. So what we'll do is go to Print, View All Presets, and then A3. With most of the professional drawings, they're usually landscape, and we're in New Zealand, so we'll do millimeters, not inches. So this is something of a personal preference, but I always like to turn artboards on. It just means that it makes exporting easier. You'll learn about it later, but yeah, just turn that on. But otherwise, all the settings should look like this: landscape, millimeter, and artboards. And we can go ahead and create it. Everyone all good so far? Give me a thumbs up. Yes, sweet. And if you need any help, I was always just over there as well. Cool. So the thing with Photoshop and everything in Adobe is that you have to set it up well. You can't just randomly throw on stuff because you'll end up having a lot of different assets and images and text, and it can get messy. So setting up is really, really important. So one of the things you have to think about is, first of all, is this work ever going to be printed or is it going to mainly live digitally? Like if you're making something for your Instagram, you're not going to print it out. But if it's for school, you're going to probably print it out. In which case, you want to change it from the color mode called RGB to CYMK. So CYMK is like cyan, yellow, magenta, and I don't know what it is. But it's like the ink colors of the printer. The difference between them is like this. So RGB is real vibrant. Whereas CYMK, obviously you can't make, ink can't make things neon, so it will be more dull. And it's good to start off with choosing the image color because you don't want to print it out and then realize, oh my god, I thought it was going to be bright the whole time, but it's actually like really dull. So we go to image mode, and then CYNK. It will ask you if you want to merge or don't merge. At this stage, it doesn't really matter, but go with don't merge. Just so it doesn't like collapse everything and mess it up. Sweet, so congrats, you've like set up your canvas pretty well so far. You've thought about what you're gonna do with it, which is real important. I'm just gonna show you the UI of Photoshop. So on the left here, you have the toolbar, which is like, you can navigate it, select stuff, blah, blah, blah. This is real helpful. If you need something more in-depth with more options, there's always the menus up top. This is your artwork. It kind of works like a tab on your internet browser. If you have multiple documents, you just switch between the tabs. Over here are your palettes. So your color palette, your gradient palette, and we'll actually add in our window palette, brushes palette as well. So we can do that right now actually, just to set it up. So click Windows, and select brushes. You'll have a pop out, but to just make things cleaner, I like to just put it back in. So everything is in one spot. So your brushes, next to your colors. Makes it real easy when you have to like color in something, they're right next to each other. Cool. So on this side in the middle, we have properties. It tells you information about things that you've selected. And then down here, we have layers. So if you've used any other art softwares before, you'll know what layers are. If you don't, we'll work through it together. So everyone cool so far? Give me a thumbs up. Thank you. Cool, so now we'll actually like try Photoshop and stuff. So I want you to open up the File Explorer folder I told you to open. So Photoshop Tutorial 2024, and we'll just drag in the first JPEG. Just drag it in. Oh, I think my computer's lagging. Okay, sorry. Oh, you guys all good? Sweet. So now we'll learn like the real basic to stretch the image. So you see how there are like little boxes over there? If you move them, you can stretch them. And as you do that, you'll see that you're stretching the image proportionally. It's not like that where it gets real skinny or real short. But yeah, it should be all proportional. And it should look like my screen where you have bits sticking out to the side. Yeah, cool. So now that you've learned how to stretch proportionally, we're gonna teach you how to stretch not proportionally. If you Yeah, so if you don't see the white boxes around your images, you can you click on the image and then press Control T on the keyboard, and the white boxes should pop back up. Cool. So to stretch unproportionally, you have to press Shift while you're dragging the boxes. That kind of fits it in. So you've learned like 2 things already, which is pretty good. So to exit this transformation thing, you just press Enter. And it's kind of like we slapped it on, like solid in there. I'm also going to teach you how to zoom and pan. Right now it's pretty all good, but let's say you want to zoom into a window. You can press the magnifying glass at the toolbar over there, or you can always just press Z on your keyboard. Yeah, so that's the thing with Photoshop. There's always a button on screen, but there's always like a hidden keyboard shortcut as well. And we'll like have some handouts later so you can learn more about the shortcuts. Personally, like I just prefer using shortcuts over clicking the button because it's like quite intuitive and it's kind of like muscle memory, but everything works. Sweet, so you can just like zoom around. And like, let's say I want to like move the canvas back to the middle. You can go to the hand over here or press H for hand. Yeah. So yeah, that just means you don't have to rely on like the scroll bar, which can get real annoying down there. Oh. Okay, now that we've done something on Photoshop, it's time to save your file. It's really important and you should do it like every 30 seconds. So again, there's a way to do it on screen and a way to do it on the keyboard. So I'll show you on screen. You go to File and then Save. And then just save it to your OneDrive. It should pop up over there. Just give it a random name, whatever works. So I assume that most of you guys are first years here, and this is like a mistake you'll probably go through sometime in architecture school where your stuff did not save and your hours of work just goes missing. So make sure you like drill into your mind and just make sure you save all the time. So that's why I'm gonna teach you the keyboard shortcut as well. So I want everyone to, on your keyboard, press Control and S at the same time. So that performs the exact action as you did with the saving option on screen. So whenever you're bored, whenever you're thinking, just, click that on your keyboard, Control S, save it. Yeah. Yeah, you won't regret it. Cool, we can move on to the next thing now. We've kind of like got the basics down. Next up, we will drag in number 2 PNG from the File Explorer. Yeah. That's the beauty of going to architecture and planning school. You can put like fun stuff in and hide the Easter eggs. Cool. So we're gonna use what we've learned before and scale it down. We want to make it look realistic, right? So person would probably be about that size compared to the car and other people. Need help so far? All good. Sweet. And we can press enter to kind of like exit the image. We'll just zoom back in to have a closer look in the sky. So to zoom in, is it Z or the magnifying glass? And you'll see that when you copy and paste images from the internet, it might not always be a transparent PNG, like sometimes they really do lie to you. So there's a really neat trick on Photoshop where if you select the image, so I want everyone to select it, you'll know that you've selected it when your layers kind of show that it's like lighter, you know? Yeah. And I want everyone to right click on the layer. It should be called 02. If anyone is having a problem selecting it, make sure that you've got the selection tool because you might have been stuck on the zooming tool or the hand tool, So you want to make sure you're on the select tool, select the image, and you can check that the layer is the correct one. Sweet. Cool, so right click on the 02 layer because that's the name of the guy. And click rasterize layer. We can just pause a little bit because okay, so checkpoint time. When you look on the layer that's called 02 with the guy in it, it should it should look like this. There wouldn't be like a little gray icon at the bottom right of this rectangle. Yep, good. Cool, so we're gonna do the really cool trick that's gonna be useful for the next 5 years, 4 or 5 years. So make sure you've got the man selected, so that's the layer called 02, and it should be rasterized right now. Look at this properties panel in the middle over here, and there should be a button called remove background. So if your screen matches up with mine, click this remove background button.
One got no background.
No background? See, that's like magic if you watch it happen. Sweet. And we go back out, and like the man is just fully integrated into the landscape, which is exactly what we want. Cool. So you guys should be relatively familiar with the existence of the layers right now. See how there's like 2 or 3? So with layers, you can hide them by clicking the eye icon. Just kind of play around with it, eh? Just like get yourself familiar with it. Yeah. Yeah, so layers, there's a little eye button on the left of the layers. Click on it and it will like make it disappear. Click it again or appear again. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sweet. Let's say like you only want to move the dude around, but you keep accidentally moving the landscape instead, which is really annoying. What you can do is lock the layer with the landscape on it. So now you can't move it until you unlock it again. To do that, make sure you have the landscape layer selected and then press this little lock icon. You'll see that this layer has like the lock icon next to it as well. Yeah. So this file only has 2 layers, which is a relatively simple artboard. But as you learn Photoshop more and add more things to it, you'll have many layers, which can get messy. So it's really important to name your layers. So to do that, we're gonna double click on the title of the layer. So it should say like 01 or 02 right now. So just double click on that and then start naming it. So I'm gonna name mine street elevation. Then just click away and it'll save it. Do the same thing for the 02, which is the guy. I'm gonna call him Guy. Yeah. Just basic stuff works. So yeah, these are like some good habits that you should form. Which, by the way, it's time to save, so Control S. Cool. Everyone is up to date so far? Yes? Okay, sweet. We're gonna move on to the third asset. So go back to your File Explorer and drag in number 3 PNG. Just drag it in. Cool. And we're gonna use our navigation skills we learned before and kind of like move it up here where the sun should be. Yeah, real professional. Cool. So we can press enter to exit the image mode. So you may see something wrong with what we've got so far because the sun should not be in front of the building. It's most likely going to be behind if it's in the real world. So what we're going to do is mask the sun. So basically, if we want to make the sun look like it's behind the building, we kind of want to like erase bits of it, right? Oops. Give me a second. Kind of like that. But like, what if I erase too much and I can't get it back? That can be pretty annoying and not very safe. So what masking does instead is that it temporarily hides away the pixels, but you can always bring it back without doing Control Z. Like it's always there, just hidden from you, and it wouldn't show up. It's basically just a better way of erasing it, a safer way of doing it. So to do that, you're gonna have to rasterize this image again, because Photoshop can't really recognize it as pixels until you rasterize it. So right click on the layer called 03, and then just click rasterize. I've already done it, so it's grayed out, but it should be there for you. Cool. Once you've done that, we can go into mask. So make sure you've got this layer selected, that's real important, and click this icon. Yeah, this thing at the bottom. Now if you look on the layer, you've got this yellow bit of sun with this kind of like twin next to it.
So it's right at the bottom of the page, the one that looks like it. Right as you can. There.
Yeah, it does look like Flag of Japan if that helps you remember it. Yeah. Over there. Cool. Put your hand up if you kind of like need us to go over there and help you out. So all good? Sweet. Cool. So click on this mask, this thing. And I want everyone to look at my screen because I'm just gonna demonstrate it first, and then you guys can follow along. Let me just set up this stuff. Cool. So how masking works is this little mask only recognizes black and white. So if I go all the way to black and I draw it on, black means that it's going to erase. So I don't have the eraser on. I just have a brush that's like colored in black, and it acts as eraser. If I do gray, then it's like halfway in between. If I do white, I bring it back. So that's why it's better than just straight up erasing your image, because it's like safer, you know? So you guys can do the same thing now. So click on mask. You kind of select where you're gonna draw on, and then click on brush, or just press B on your keyboard. So as a checkpoint, this is selected and this is selected. Cool. And now we'll select the brush we're gonna use. You normally don't have to do this if you've like set up Photoshop on your computer, but you know, you guys just logged on, so you have to do this. So open up General Brush in the Brushes panel and select Hard Brown. Obviously, if you scroll down, there are like more cooler brushes, but for today, we're just gonna stick with the real basic one. So if you hover your mouse back onto the canvas, it should kind of look like a circle. That's like where your brush is gonna be. If your circle is really big, like you can't even see it, you know, then what you can do is go to size here and kind of like move it back down. Hard round. Make sure, so after you selected the right brush, make sure the size is just, you know, usable. Sweet. So with brushes, just like any other art software, you can change the brush's opacity. So opacity over there. Now it's kind of like translucent, you know? We'll make it all the way opaque again. You can do flow, which makes it work like a real paintbrush. Like you can kind of see the pressure of the opacity. You can also change the size over there. So we've hit 3 spots: opacity up top, flow up top, and size over here. It only shows up under the brushes panel though. Alternatively, of course, there's a keyboard shortcut. If you guys press Alt on your keyboard right now, Okay, keep it pressing. And then right click on your mouse. There's like a huge red dot that appears. Like hold down the right click and just drag it left and right to change the size, up and down to change the softness. I found this out like last year and I'm a third year agriculture student, so I wish I found out sooner, so I'm putting it in here. Yeah, like if you're gonna paint something, it's gonna be annoying to pop, to go up and then right and then blah blah blah. So just one key all in one go. Cool. So like we'll just select like a good softness and size. Just make it usable. Cool. So now we're gonna actually get onto the masking, which is what we're gonna do. So make sure you selected the right place to do your brushes, which is over here. So make sure this is selected, this mask. And remember how masking only recognizes black and white? Like even if I do red, it's not gonna put red there. So kind of just like stick with the black and white bit of the color palette. So what we're gonna do now is erase out the sun. So remember that masking sees black as erase. So we're gonna select black, make sure mask is selected, and then start brushing. Oops. If you erase too much, you can always make your brush color white and it'll recognize it as restore. Hey everyone, if you're done, kind of have a look at your masterpiece, zoom out a little bit. Helpful tip, if you're still using the brush, you can make your brush go straight by pressing shift while you're drawing. Sweet. Yeah. Cool. Give me like a thumbs up if you're up to date. Cool. Okay, sweet. So the problem is that a sun does not look like this. An object has shadow and highlights. So we're gonna learn what overlay is and kind of add that in. So what we're gonna do is plus a layer, add a new one. So click this at the bottom. Yeah. We'll have a new layer. And now what we're gonna do is go to this box. Right now it's normal, which means that when you paint, it's like, straight up just like putting paint on it. But if you click on this and then select something else, it'll act as an overlay. So this is real common in other art softwares. You can kind of just play around with it. Yeah. So what I like to select is multiply. Cool. And we're gonna grab our brushes again. And this time we're gonna make it bigger. Remember we press Alt and then right drag. Like real big, like as big as the sun. Cool. And then we're gonna go drag the mouse up. So Alt right drag up to make it real soft. So I can see that a lot of you guys have started playing with the kind of shadow looking thing already. That's really good. I'm happy to see that. We're just gonna do it a little bit for the sun, kind of just like down here. Kind of makes it look 3D, you know? If your one doesn't look right, make sure that your shadow layer is at the top. Shadow. Sun. Cool, so everyone is up to date now, right? Cool. Okay, so you've got the shadow, that's really good, makes the sun look 3D. What we're gonna learn now is something called clipping mask. So can everyone just look at the screen again? Because it's easier to watch than like me explaining it with words. Cool, look at the screen. I'm gonna right click and then go create clipping mask. Don't follow me, just watch please. So I'm gonna create clipping mask and watch what happens to the shadow. It just goes onto the sun bit, which is really helpful because once again, you don't have to like erase it all out by yourself. And best of all, it's reversible. Sweet. Okay, now we're gonna do it together. So first thing, you've got to make sure that your layers set up are good. The shadow layer should be on top of the sun layer. If you haven't named all your layers so far and they're still like called like 03 or 02, then you should rename it. But yeah, make sure your shadow is on top of your sun. Everyone up to date so far? Give me a thumbs up. I don't see many thumbs up, so I'm just gonna wait a little bit more. Cool, okay, sweet. So now we're gonna right click on the shadow layer and go create clipping mask to watch the magic happen. So what is happening is like, it's looking at the layer below. Cool. Make sure shadow is on top of sun. Right click on the shadow layer and then go create clipping mask. So I think a lot of you guys have class pretty soon. So I'm just gonna end it here. And hopefully that gave you enough of like a introduction to how to navigate and add stuff and edit things. So thank you for coming today. And last thing I'm gonna do is just save it again. And then you're free to go.